Hi, so today we're going to be looking at some advanced format drives and just some different formatting and partitioning tools that you can use in Linux. So the reason I wanted to look at advanced format drives is I actually went and picked up a Western Digital Black 1 terabyte drive yesterday, and I noticed on the bag it says that I've got it here. It says that advanced format drives require additional installation steps, etc. Blah blah blah. So went to the website that's got listed there, wdc.com/adv format. It actually says that advanced format is only supported by Windows 7 and 8 operating systems, as well as Mac OS X. So I was pretty surprised to hear that. Although it's not uncommon for manufacturers and different organizations to say that Linux isn't supported when it will actually work. And something that surprised me is that my current drive that I'm using in this computer is actually advanced format. So I've got Ubuntu running on there. So it's poked my curiosity to look at this a bit further. And the other thing was that today I was actually going to format a couple of my partitions that have Linux running on them, but I just don't need those extra operating system installations at this point. I want to free up some drive space. So the first program I'll introduce you to is fdisk. So just going to do a list on that. So I'll go over to my terminal here. Need to be running as a root user here, so we use sudo fdisk-l. Now, so I've got, this is my internal drive. This one's actually a Seagate, so it's a Seagate hybrid drive, which replaced this other one, the 320 gigabyte. That's just connected to an external case at the moment. Now what you'll notice is that this is the new drive. It actually says that the sector size is a logical 512 bytes, and the physical is 4096 bytes. And the old drive is both logical and physical the same size 512 bytes. So what that actually indicates is that this drive is it's actually an advanced format drive. Advanced format it's increased the sector size on the disk to 4 kilobytes. Now there's meant to be some performance increases with that. Now I hadn't really heard about advanced format too much before, so I'm not actually sure how that would work, but that's the claims that the manufacturers make, is that it increases performance, particularly with modern operating systems. Now the other thing you might notice here is that my partition 3 doesn't actually start on a physical sector boundary. So my partition 3 here is where the Linux operating system starts. So I'm running Windows here, Windows 7, with a NTFS drive there, and then all these here are Linux operating systems. So what that tells me that the doesn't start on a physical sector boundary is that this drive is actually unaligned as far as fdisk is concerned. Now, that can be a problem. So, just on what I've been reading about advanced format, if your disk does become unaligned, there's the potential there to lose data. So, just because it'll write to a place where it thinks it should be writing to, but due to that unalignment, it will potentially overwrite some of your data. So you probably won't notice this happening because it's only 4 kilobytes until it becomes a critical sort of problem. So what I'm going to do is try and realign this drive so that it works a bit better. And I won't potentially lose any data. Now, the other thing I want to show you is this program here. So GSmartControl. Now, this is just an extra thing. What I found was that when I put this drive into the external case, some of the smart data it just wouldn't display. It was a bit intermittent. This is normal. Like a lot of external cases, they run over USB and they just don't have the capability to tell the operating system that it has this smart data. Sometimes it will display, particularly in Linux machines, it comes up occasionally so to actually get this smart data, you open disks, and so you see here on the internal drive we can just go to smart data and we've got some data there. So, and then with the external case, this is it here, we try and view that same information, and it's grayed out. It won't let us read it. So what we need to do is run GSmartControl. Now, I've already done this for this drive. I'll just show you anyway. So this is the external case here. What you want to actually do is check both enable smart and enable automatic offline data collection. So I've already checked both of those previously, and on reboot I was actually able to see this data, so I'll just close that. So that's where it's shown up here. So this is the actual drive within the case. So now we can see smart data. A second. Right. So now the reason for I replaced the internal drive is you'll see here there are a number of reported uncorrectable errors and command timeouts, stuff like that. Drive was getting a bit old. It's only an OEM Seagate drive, so they aren't built to great standards. You can see that it had been dropped at some point. That's not actually the worst I've seen for a G-Sense, but anyway, Um, so that was my reason for replacing this drive. So we can see that now. Now we'll just go to the new drive. You see this is where Linux is. That's the Linux partition. Now I'm actually curious as to the reason for these read error rates. My first thought was that this was due to the drive being a hybrid drive, and apparently the manufacturers say this is actually quite normal for some of these error rates to be up, because it's actually writing to sort of two places really. It's writing to the 8 GB cache of the solid state in the drive, and then writing to the actual physical hard disk. Now, having learned about a little bit about advanced format, I'm wondering if that could indicate some problems with my alignment. Now, I won't know for sure. Maybe just by looking at this, and after I realign the disk, if this error rate stops going up, then that might be a good indication that it's caused by the advanced format, but I don't really know. Okay, so the other program I wanted to show you was parted, or GNU parted. Now this, if you're just doing some basic checks and different things, you can just run it from within Linux. If you are actually wanting to change partitioning and that sort of thing, best thing to do is run it from a live CD. That way your drive isn't mounted on a live operating system. So I'll just start that one. So it's just parted. Alright, so what I'm going to do is just say list. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, so there we are. Parted -L will list the drives, so like fdisk, similar to it. So you get the same sort of information there. Just go back to parted. Now, what I want to do here is an align check. Now you can do minimal, optimal. It will ask you if I just say align check. So I'm just going to use minimal there. And that will ask you for the partition number. So actually want to check the extended partition, and it's not aligned. You can go through each of these one by one, these other ones. So just do that. Just go align check min 5 not aligned. Sorry, 5 aligned. So they all report aligned, whereas 3 doesn't. So that's something you can, if you want to actually align, you just use align, and it'll ask you again minimal, optimal. I'm not actually going to do it because I'm using the system. Anyway, that's parted. So I'll just type quit here.